Like many other families from the mainland, the Barfords thought moving to Tasmania would make it easier to own their own home.
We moved down from Queensland and the house prices were quite affordable. Around there we were sort of looking when we first came here, and they were sort of the mid-threes, 300,000s in Launceston itself, which was quite affordable.
The arrival of their 2 children delayed the hunt for their dream home, but over the past year, house prices in Launceston have surged.
It's a moo cow!
Sam Barford is a community nurse. Her husband Nathan sells car parts.
Hey, buddy.
Realising they could no longer afford to buy a home in the city, the family moved to Cressy, 35 kilometres from Launceston.
Basically, we just discovered that houses that we were looking at for the sort of 250,000s were now 350, 400,000, and it went up in the matter of, say, 3 to 6 months. It was a very quick increase. Can you put that in the kitchen for me?
They're glad they didn't wait any longer to take the plunge.
To be honest, I would have thought, thanks to COVID and all that sort of stuff that's gone on, house prices might have come down, but no, they've just kept going up.
Figures compiled by property analyst CoreLogic show house prices in regional Tasmania rose more than 12% during the past year. Since COVID, regional prices nationally have risen 6.5%. And after an initial dip, capital cities are bouncing back, recording a rise in January, helping national home values hit a record high. It's a far cry from predictions the pandemic would collapse the market. Record low interest rates, as well as falling unemployment and growing confidence that the economy is bouncing back, have stirred buyers.
People are looking for an investment opportunity. You don't want to put your money in the bank where interest rates are as good as zero, so you're looking at assets to say, well, where will I go? And of course, we also had incentives for first home buyers, so that helped them get back into the market.
According to figures from the Bureau of Statistics, Australia has its highest level of first home buyers in the market since the Rudd government's stimulus packages in response to the global financial crisis. Demand for grants under the Federal Home Builder Scheme, designed to keep tradies in work during the pandemic, has been nearly twice as much as Treasury forecast.
If you're putting pressure on the housing market because you've got lots of people looking to build houses at the same time, then the overall price of housing goes up because the cost of building goes up and everything around that flows through.
Housing Minister Michael Sukkar said in a statement to 7:30 developers couldn't capitalise on the scheme because of its short-term targeted nature, and consumer protections are also in place. But saving for a deposit when rates are low and house prices are high is a challenge.
And of course our wages growth is very, very low and going to continue low, and yet we're seeing market forecasts for house prices to go up by anywhere between 5 and 10% for each of the next 2 years. So it's just getting more and more out of people's grasp.
Rosemary Hulak moved from inner Sydney to Parramatta for the lifestyle, and because the cheaper rent means she can save more for a deposit on her first home.
But I also think, like, am I just going to be renting for the rest of my life? Like, am I ever going to live in a place that I own? Like, can I ever put up a shelf? Can I get a dog?
She has a steady job and healthy savings. With help from her parents, she thinks herself lucky. And yet she's been looking for an apartment nearby for 1.5 years.
I feel like it's the new doom scrolling, is just looking at real estate, because you're just like, oh, can't afford it, contact agent, probably can't afford it, you know.
Rosemary could apply for a bigger mortgage, but she doesn't want to be paying it off on a single income.
I don't want to have to be put into the situation where potentially, you know, something goes wrong, or, you know, like interest rates go up heaps and all of a sudden I don't have a buffer. I don't have, you know, all my savings are suddenly ploughed into my mortgage and I'm in strife.
Abolishing stamp duty and bringing in an annual property tax is one of the more radical proposals to help young people get into the market over the longer term.
Stamp duty, which was meant to be a very small amount, has disproportionately increased and become a revenue source, a river of gold for many state governments around the country. It's made it very, very difficult, particularly in places like Sydney, for first home buyers to get into the market.
Stamp duty is about $40,000 for a median Sydney home. Analysis by New South Wales Treasury suggests that if stamp duty was scrapped, property sales would jump by up to 70%, giving first home buyers more opportunities to get a foot in the market. Economist Nikki Hutley believes the biggest hurdles to home ownership are the cost of land and continuing demand for the traditional quarter-acre block. She wants to see more medium-density housing in city suburbs.
This is Australia in the 2020s. We have a large and growing population. We can't possibly have cities that look the same in 2020 that they did in 1960. You know, we can't be that selfish to the next generation of Australians.
Like Rosemary Hulak, most of those trying to get into the market need to rely on the bank of mum and dad to do so. Lily Russell is used to renting. Her family lived in half a dozen homes as she was growing up.
That has definitely influenced my decision and my goal of having my own home one day. Just to have that kind of worry away from the back of your mind, thinking, when am I going to have to move? Where am I going to move afterwards? Am I going to afford somewhere else?
She's studying law and volunteers her time to help others with housing issues. She's unlikely to get financial help from family if she wants to buy a house.
Part of me is quite scared that it won't happen one day. If I'm on a single income, no matter what kind of job I get once I leave university, I am scared that having a particular career is no longer enough to be able to achieve that dream.
And of course, the effect of that is that those who can afford to help their children are already people with reasonable wealth. Those that can't, are lower down the income spectrum. So it's actually entrenching worsening intergenerational inequality, unfortunately.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.